Hello, friends. Welcome back to Transcendent Astrology and Tarot. My name is Michelle Fondin. I'm an author, speaker, astrologer, and tarot reader. And today we are going to talk about the full moon in Aquarius that is happening on Monday, August 19th, 2024 at 11:25 a.m. Pacific time. And I am calling this Follow Your Inner Gut about breakthroughs and breakaways. So if you are interested, please do stay tuned. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. And thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. I do tarot and astrology readings. You can book that at my website, which is below. The Aquarius full moon that is happening on Monday is happening in the midst of many retrogrades. It is also happening with the moon at 27 degrees, 15 minutes of Aquarius, which means that the sun is at 27 degrees and 15 minutes of Leo. When the sun and the moon are in opposition to one another, we have a full moon. There is something unique and special about this full moon in that Mercury retrograde is conjunct the sun in Leo at 26 degrees. They're just a degree apart. So that means as well that the moon and Mercury are also in opposition. Let's talk a little bit about Aquarius and what Aquarius does represent. Aquarius is the developed individual in that it is in the latter part of the zodiac. It is the 11th sign in the zodiac. We're almost to the finish line, if you will. We have Pisces as the 12th sign. So Aquarius is the developed individual. The developed individual who is certain about themselves and they are looking for radical change and to somehow integrate that change into their society. Whatever the society happens to look like, a society for the individual could be a family, a friend group, a workplace, city, state, country, government, whatever it happens to be. But the Aquarius individual is always concerned with their status in the group, and usually they like to take the lead. Aquarius is ruled by modern ruler Uranus and ancient ruler Saturn. So Aquarius is considered to have two rulers or co-rulers. Right now, as we stand at this full moon in Aquarius, we have Uranus, which is squaring both the moon and the sun. Uranus being the modern ruler of Aquarius, this is a lot of tension here. There's a lot of tension with Uranus. Now, Uranus is in Taurus. Uranus likes to shake things up. Uranus is rebel or revolution. Uranus in Taurus, which Uranus will be in Taurus until 2026, likes to shake things up, but Taurus being fixed Earth, the shakeups with Uranus are having to do with more earthly things, material things. So finances, the banking system, there might be changes in weather patterns or agriculture as a result of Uranus. However, we're not talking about that. We're really talking about these changes with the full moon happening between the lunar axis of Aquarius and Leo. Which Leo, let's explore Leo a little bit. This is really important and you will see my point here. Leo is about the expression of the individual ego, the individual self as the self. It is in the first few signs of the zodiac, Leo being the 5th sign in the zodiac. And this is where the individual is really separating itself from its parents, for example, from its neighbors. And the sign of Leo with the individual expression of the ego, this is the most developed form of the individual expression of the ego before encountering someone else, something else. The Leo type, in its most primal form, wants to be recognized and seen by others for being an individual. Saying, look at me, I am well developed, I am well formed, these are my individual preferences, this is how I would like to be seen in the world. Leo is ruled by the sun. The sun is in its home sign of Leo currently, conjunct Mercury retrograde. Mercury does okay in Leo, but sometimes the conversations surrounding Mercury in Leo can be a little more direct. Leo is fixed fire, and so that directness can sometimes come off as being a little bit aggressive or abrasive. Not necessarily always, it just sometimes seems that way when we have Mercury in Leo. So we have two signs, Aquarius and Leo, which are really concerned with the individual. Leo being the individual ego, seeing itself to be able to be seen, and Aquarius, the fully developed individual who is ready to integrate into society and perhaps take a leadership role in society, wanting to change and break through things, such as social norms, for example. So we have two very individualistic signs with the sun and the moon. And as I was using my intuition, reading into the chart for this full moon in Aquarius, it came to me that this full moon is very much about you and you and you. This is about the individual. This is not necessarily about society. This is not necessarily about the group, nor is it about your personal relationships with others. This is about you or you. You just have to pick which side of you are needing to develop. Now, usually I would go with the full moon because the full moon is illuminated. And that seems like the better choice here. However, with these two very individualistic signs, and with Mercury conjunct the sun retrograde in Leo, Leo being the leader, the king, royalty, being seen, being on stage, being heard. Oh boy, Leo can outshine even the best performer. I really feel that there is this tug of war, as which sometimes happens when you have oppositions, planets and oppositions, there is a tug of war. But I really believe that this is the individual tug of war. Which side am I needing to develop a breakthrough and grow through more? Is it the Leo side? Is it the Aquarius side? Which side am I needing to strive to work through with that breakthrough? Now, the reason I say that there is an equal division of this breakthrough for the individual, it is because Uranus is squaring both the moon and the sun. Uranus is about breakthrough and change and sudden transformations or sudden epiphanies or sudden electricity, right? And it could be a brilliant idea, a brilliant breakthrough. Since it's equidistant, they are in exact squares, since Uranus is at 27 degrees of Taurus, the sun 27 degrees Leo, the moon at 27 degrees Aquarius. That is an exact square. And they are equidistant. So there really is this choice. Do I develop one or the other during this full moon? Or which one has come to a culmination, meaning a fullness point, full moon, and which one is immature and needing to be developed? You can't have both and you can't work on both during this full moon phase. It's one or the other. You need to make a choice. Let's go ahead and take a look at the chart. And you can see a little bit what I'm talking about here as we really go through the chart and see how much tension are surrounding the other planets, as well as how many planets are in retrograde. Let's take a look. Let's start toward the top with Leo. The sun and Mercury conjunct in Leo at 27 and 26 degrees respectively. We go counterclockwise according to the zodiac. We have Venus in Virgo at 18 degrees, the South Node at 8 degrees Libra, Pluto 0 degrees Aquarius in retrograde motion, the Moon at 27 degrees Aquarius, Saturn at 17 degrees of Pisces retrograde, Neptune 29 degrees of Pisces retrograde. We have the North Node at 8 degrees of Aries, and we have Chiron at 23 degrees Aries retrograde, and we have Uranus at 27 degrees of Taurus, as mentioned. And we have Jupiter and Mars in Gemini. They were recently conjunct, exact, around August 14th to 15th, depending on where you are on the planet. They are separating, still conjunct, at 17 degrees Gemini and 19 degrees Gemini, respectively. They are not aspecting the moon and the sun during this full moon phase. Jupiter and Mars conjunct is very powerful, was very powerful. And if you have some questions surrounding this, refer to my video on Jupiter's transit through Gemini that I posted a few weeks back. I will put that link right here. Next, let's look at the aspects between the moon and the other planetary bodies, which it's aspecting, and then we will take a look at the sun and its aspects. As we look at the moon at 27 degrees Aquarius, we see first and foremost its opposition to Mercury and the sun. We see the square to Uranus and Taurus at 27 degrees. And there's another interesting aspect here, which is Chiron retrograde in Aries at 23 degrees of Aries. It is sextile. And sextiles are usually very favorable, helping hands, very, very favorable. As I was meditating through the chart for the full moon, I got the words, Chiron retrograde in Aries is about healing inner child wounds. Why do I say inner child? Aries is the first sign. Chiron is the wounded healer. Aries is the first sign. When you are born into Aries energy, whatever sign, rising sign you happen to be in. Why? Because Aries represents the first stage of life. And as Aries represents the first stage of life, it is, here I am here, this is me, here I go. And the wounds we accumulate in childhood as we come out of the womb and say, here I am, we're usually not saying that. We're usually crying it or screaming it. Here I am, this is me. And depending on how our caretakers respond to us throughout our early childhood, we may or may not accumulate childhood wounds. When we look at this sextile with the moon, which means that Chiron is trine the sun and Mercury in Leo, we see a helping hand with Chiron's wounds. We see something that can be healed here. The moon representing our moods, our emotions, our early childhood emotions, our connection to our mother, the moon. And we look at it in Aquarius, which really is about transformation, individuality, seeing things very differently and maybe in a radical sense and showing our uniqueness. Being that the moon is square to Uranus, it's up to us to decide. How am I going to integrate this Aquarian energy into the full moon, especially with my inner child wounds with Chiron helping? How am I going to integrate this? Am I going to show up as an individual that I wasn't able to show up in as a child? Am I going to be radically different now than I was growing up, or from my parents or my society or my neighborhood or my church or my school or my university? Am I going to do things radically different now? That is the decision with the full moon in Aquarius, square Uranus, and sextile Chiron in Aries. Are my emotions especially going to be different now? Can I radically change? Can I radically be different from the way I was through my mother or as I was growing up? So as you move through this, your decision on which to look at for yourself moving forward, as you need to choose between the moon in Aquarius or the sun in Leo. Whichever one needs to be developed, your intuition will tell you. Let's go ahead now and look at the aspects to the sun. We have, of course, the sun and Mercury retrograde conjunct. Mercury about communication, short distance travel, transportation, electronic communication, and it being retrograde, it's about your inner communication likely before the outer communication. It's those things that you say to yourself, the things you rehearse to yourself before you say them to the outer world. Leo is certainly about the self-expression into the outer world. How is your outer expression? Are you fun and playful, Leo? Are you confident that you can step onto the stage of your own life and communicate effectively, first to yourself and then outwardly to others so others see you? Being seen is Leo. Being seen for who you are is Leo. There is this square to Uranus in Taurus. And so are you going to be seen in a unique way? Are you going to be seen as someone who is super individualistic and out there? Are you choosing to be seen in that way? Or are there still childhood wounds, Chiron and Aries, that you're needing to work through and will work through because of the trine? There are two other challenging aspects here to the Sun-Mercury conjunction in Leo. We have an inconjunct to Pluto in Aquarius, and we have an inconjunct to Neptune in Pisces. These can be a little bit more challenging of resistance toward seeing yourself in the right way. Seeing yourself in the right way and talking to yourself in the right way. What do I mean here? Pluto can represent the dark side of your inner world, your inner conversation, the world that is unseen. And was it that perhaps in your childhood, Chiron in Aries, retrograde, your inner child wounds here is represented? Could it be that in society, Aquarius, Pluto in Aquarius, in society, as you were growing up, you weren't seen the way you wanted to be seen? Was it that? You just weren't seen out there the way you wanted to be seen. People saw you perhaps differently than you actually wanted to be seen in your societies. Did they judge you harshly? Did they look at you like you were off a little bit? Did they look at you, Neptune, retrograde in Pisces, in conjunct the Sun and Mercury conjunction in Leo? Did they look at you as a dreamer or someone who was detached from reality? And you need to rectify, if you're working on this aspect of the full moon, what you would need to work on is to rectify your individuality, Uranus and Taurus, square the Sun, Mercury conjunction in Leo. You would have to work on your sense of individuality and how you want to be seen, regardless of how others conceived of you from the past. Knowing that the way you talk to yourself each and every day, Mercury retrograde Leo conjunct the Sun, the way you talk to yourself every single day, every single minute, every single hour is going to represent how you display yourself to the outer world on a day by day, minute by minute, second by second way in life. That's what's going to happen. And if you, Mercury retrograde, say to yourself every minute of every day, I am different, I'm just a dreamer, I am not like the others, I'm on the outskirts, I'm an outlier, I'm an outcast, Pluto in Aquarius retrograde, you are not going to heal the childhood wound that maybe put you in that mindset. So in order to heal that childhood wound that puts you into that mindset from early on, your self-talk needs to change. Your self-conversations need to change. The way you speak to yourself before speaking to others, before presenting yourself to others, needs to change into something more positive. We can use Uranus as an example here to change this permanently. Uranus and Taurus. For example, you might say to yourself each and every day, my uniqueness is what makes me special as an individual. It gives me drive, it gives me passion, it gives me a unique way of looking at things and helping others to see things in a very different and unique way and to go into self-acceptance. So that is a great way to talk yourself into your power, talking yourself out of, by default, the wounds from your past. If it was people saying to you, you're just a dreamer, you're not realistic, you can mention people like Walt Disney, who said, yeah, well, people like Walt Disney were dreamers, people like Henry Ford were dreamers, and look what they did. We require dreamers in humanity to do great things and imagine into reality the impossible. If it was, you are an outlier, you are not like the mainstream folk, you are an outcast, Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, in conjunct the Sun and Mercury in Leo. If that was the conversation in your early childhood, you were an outcast, you were seen as maybe a punk rocker, or you were seen as a goth, or you were seen as someone who was not mainstream. In that case, it's time to own the dark side of you that has perhaps helped you become the individual that you are today, right? It doesn't mean you need to stay in the darkness, remain in the darkness. It means that helped you become who you are today. And that self-talk will change as a result of that. So as you can see about this very unique full moon in Aquarius, as Aquarius is a unique sign being ruled by Uranus, which is radical and different, I would expect no less than that with the full moon in Aquarius. This individual struggle in deciding which side, Leo or Aquarius, in me has come to fullness and which side, Leo or Aquarius, must be more developed. And through that, you get to decide which areas of your life to focus on. Now, that being said, you can get some clues if you're still uncertain as to what needs to be worked through by looking at your birth chart, looking at the transit chart, and which houses both Aquarius and Leo happen to fall in your birth chart. For example, for me, Leo falls into the second and third houses. If it were 27 degrees Leo, for me, that would be my third house. Aquarius in my chart happens to fall into the 8th and 9th houses. 27 degrees of Aquarius falls into my 9th house. And I'm not sure before I said third house Leo. It's third house Leo, 9th house Aquarius for me during this full moon phase. So if I were to choose, for example, the Sun and Mercury in Leo component, I would look at my third house. Third house represents siblings. It represents neighbors and your entourage around your immediate home. It could be elementary school too. As I was looking through the third house, I could perhaps look at, okay, maybe something happened to me in elementary school or with one of my siblings that affected my sense of self and how I talk to myself today. How can that change? How can I work on that change? So by looking at the houses for you, you can get an inkling into what may need to be healed. So let's take a look at what the tarot has to say about this full moon in Aquarius. Dear angels and guides, please help this audience understand what they need to know about the full moon in Aquarius happening on August 19th of 2024. Please and thank you. Ooh, that one just popped out. We got two that popped out. We've got Ace of Cups, overflowing with joy and love, and Page of Wands. Wow, I like this. I feel like the Ace of Cups is really about an overflowing of self-love. As I mentioned, both Aquarius and Leo are signs of individuals, of the individual. And the Ace of Cups represents love overflowing. And I feel that during this full moon phase, this is you feeling the overflowing of love for yourself to heal those wounds of Chiron, the inner child wounds, and choosing which side. Is it the Leo side? Is it the Aquarius side? Is it my developed ego? An ego is not a bad thing, you guys, especially a healthy ego. It is totally necessary. Or is it Aquarius, how I see myself as an individual integrated into a society? It doesn't have to be the global society of your country. It could be any networking group, a friend group, company, whatever. And we have the Page of Wands, which says energetic powerhouse, which is also a Leo energy. It is a fire energy. Pages are about communication. What is that? Mercury in Leo, the sun in Leo. Pages are about messages. It is the messenger. And I really feel like this is going to make you feel empowered. It's going to make you feel empowered. Getting those messages to yourself with Mercury and the sun in Leo, getting those messages to yourself about how you want to conceive of yourself, your self-talk, your positive self-talk. How do I want to see myself? How do I want to be creative and playful and fun? Leo is a creative, playful, and fun sign. It's about the pleasures in life, the fun in life, being seen as an individual, but also having fun with it. Okay, what else about the full moon in Aquarius, please and thank you. Solar eclipse, big changes are coming. Find your inner truth, a catalyst for change. Okay, I feel like the top row is seriously dealing with the sun in Leo because we've got solar. The eclipses are coming up in the fall. They are not in the Aquarian Leo axis. They are in the Libra and Aries axis. But I really do feel like this is more of you preparing for what is to come. Preparing for what is to come with those eclipses that are happening in the fall. And the top row, I feel, is really about the sun in Leo conjunct Mercury. So if you're to choose that side, it's about choosing the overflowing love for yourself through messages, Page of Wands, to yourself, which are going to empower you to be more lovable towards yourself, charismatic, creative, fun, playful. And I feel like that will prepare you for what is to come during eclipse season. Let's see what I have another tarot deck. Let's see what the second row has to say about this Aquarius full moon. Aquarius full moon, August 17th for the audience, please and thank you. Four of Cups, self-serving disinterest. That is a moon card. That is definitely a moon card. So the Four of Cups can be about not seeing the opportunity for change, not seeing the opportunities that are presented before you. You know, the moon is moody. There you go. The moon is moody. And we get our moods through the feelings of the moon, which are also related to our past. See, this is a child on the card. Okay, have we been too rooted in our pain rather than our joy, for example? If you're looking at things from the moon side of things, is it more, I've been more rooted in my pain? Let's see what else. The Magician, number 1, resourceful, powerful creator. Okay, so I really feel like the idea is to be able to change the trajectory of your future. Being a resourceful creator, being able to change the trajectory of your future by changing the present moment as how you view yourself regarding your past. I don't feel, oh gosh, okay, here we go. Card just flew out. The Tower, yeah, look at that. The Tower, a reckoning card. It's not on here, but I always consider the Tower to be Uranus. And of course, the creators of the deck did not choose Uranus. I always look at it. They have Aries and Scorpio. I mean, Scorpio makes sense. They also have Mars. I always look at the Tower as Uranus because lightning strikes for me are Uranus, and there's lightning on the Tower card. Okay, so the messages for the second row, definitely the moon side. So that's the moon in Aquarius side. And we have Uranus here by the Tower card that is squaring the moon. I feel that if you stay rooted in your pain, Chiron retrograde in Aries, if you stay rooted in your pain from childhood and you do not realize the magic within you to change the trajectory of how you are perceived in society, in your family, in your friend group, at work, how you are perceived as an individual. Are you the leader or are you the follower? Are you the one who creates change and makes radical changes, or are you the one who is like following along with everybody else without saying anything? If you don't decide who you are as a different person in the way that you're showing up in your society, the Tower means Uranus is going with that square. Uranus is going to help you to realize it, whether you like it or not. My advice to clients, whenever I get the Tower card, my advice to clients is work nicely with the Tower. Listen to the signs. Listen to what is being presented to you and be proactive. Make the changes ahead of time. Even before you might think it's time, make those changes so that it's less catastrophic. The thing that's sticking out the most though with the moon is the Magician. I feel like you are, and we all are, powerful creators. But you need to get out of your feelings about who you are in your friend groups, society groups. You need to get out of your own mind, get out of your own head, get out of your mood, get out of your emotions. And you are a powerful creator, you are a magician. And so you get to decide how you are going to relate on a feelings level, on an emotion level, not letting your emotions rule you, but you rule over your emotions. And there is a lot I see with this one, with the moon. I feel like there's even more healing with your inner childhood wounds, but I feel like it's closer. With that sextile, it is closer, and I feel like you're closer to a solution and you're closer to a healing. So I hope this was helpful for the full moon in Aquarius. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications, and thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this video with others who like astrology, and thanks so much for your support of my YouTube channel. You can purchase one of my 11 published books. You can book a reading with me, and I will see you in the next video.